the two-seat version of the F-18 is used especially in our very complex missions, such as close air support. During close air support, you're working in close proximity to potentially ground forces, you're calling in strikes, and you have to have great situational awareness. It's very tough for a single-seat aircrew to be able to handle those type of responsibilities, and having two in there just makes it that much less complicated. So phenomenal airplane. It's the same as the single seat, except having another person in there to help you solve a problem and bring it to the right conclusion. I have flown all the airplanes that are in the Air Wing, which is great. It's one of the benefits of being in my position. I'm primarily an F-18 EF guy by trade, but I can fly the Growler, and then I fly the helicopters a whole bunch now, which is a lot of fun, and flying the E-2 as well. The teamwork on board the carrier is amazing. Obviously you have the air crew that are flying the airplanes, but they can't take off without the teamwork of the entire carrier on board and all the various positions that are on there to be able to get that airplane to take off. So just if you look at it, when you jump into that airplane to take off, you have brown shirts out there and blue shirts starting your airplane. You have people removing your chocks and chains. You have yellow shirts out there taxiing you around the flight deck to get you into position. You have shooters, part of the carrier, that are going to set you up and ensure that all the parameters are correct for you to be able to launch. Then on the backside, when you come back from it, you have to land, and you catch an arrestment. Those same folks are out there to ensure that it's all operating safely, accurately, and they do it in very dangerous and in all weather conditions. There's no cover outside. You get wet, you get rained on, you get sunburned, you are freezing cold, you are boiling hot on that flight deck. They work their tail off in order to be able to get the aircraft recovered and launched in the manner that we do. The carrier-air wing combination, it's an interesting combination, and it is worth thinking about for a minute. And that is the carrier. 4.5 acres of sovereign U.S. territory, can sail anywhere around the globe in international waters, which is pretty much 75%. Phenomenal capability to bring an airport anywhere in the globe. The air wing comes on board. The air wing is the firepower of the carrier. So the air wing comes on board and brings phenomenal firepower that we're probably as strong as maybe the 10th to 12th country Air Force, and we can sail that anywhere we want. And that symbiotic relationship, without a ship, the air wing is just another Air Force. Without my tail hook, I couldn't land on the carrier. On a much bigger scale, the carrier air wing on the carrier is part of a much larger thing called the strike group. And the strike group is a tool of national policy. So they get moved from one place to another all around the globe to carry out U.S. policy. And the strike group consists not only of a carrier, but it's also going to have an air defense cruiser that is typically with it. You're also going to have a number of ships and potentially submarines, as well as a resupply ship. Being able to go anywhere in the globe unfettered, wherever the calling might bring us. For pre-deployment and workups for an air wing, it actually starts at the most basic phase, and that's with a squadron. And so you start in the squadron, and we go through various stages, and it starts very simply with just 2 airplanes operating together. Those 2 airplanes will then start operating with 4 airplanes. Those 4 airplanes will start operating with 8 airplanes, and then we bump it out. And those 8 airplanes are now going to operate with a whole nother squadron. And we go through these exercises, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where now we're operating large strikes as an air wing. So the entire air wing is coming together, working strikes all across, and we do this in various places throughout the United States as we work our way up. Once we, as an air wing, are comfortable operating just as an air wing, now we go to that next complex phase, and we bring the air wing to the carrier. And bringing it onto the carrier, it is a whole different ballgame trying to operate off an aircraft carrier, but do the same things that the air wing has been doing beforehand. There's fuel considerations, there's landing considerations, there's weather considerations that are all different landing on a carrier than if you were landing on the land. So once we start operating now off the carrier, we operate off the carrier for a little bit, and then we start adding in, and we add in other ships in there, and then we start operating. Once all the ships are all operating together, now we take it out to the next phase, and that is make sure that all the staffs are operating. So before you go on cruise, you've gone through a lot of workups to kind of get to the stage that we're in right now, which is to be able to handle any crisis at any time, at any calling. Once we get on deployment, in order to maintain proficiency, it requires flying. It requires operating, requires continuing training, and that's what we do while we're out here. There are times where the flights that we're doing, that we're called to do, are going to exercise all the things you've been tested on. And we can find ourselves in combat situations dropping ordnance, which we've done for many, many years. Or we could find ourselves doing humanitarian assistance, such as we did in 2011 to help Japan, or any type of other humanitarian crisis that might occur throughout the globe. The aircraft carrier can be there to be able to handle that.